Global period. This is the time after the initial procedure is performed, during which related follow-up procedures are considered part of the initial procedure. Modifiers will be used to indicate that services provided should be considered separate from the original procedure. Modifier 24 would be used for an unrelated E&M service by the same physician during the postoperative global period. Modifier 25 would be used for significant, separately identifiable E&M services by the same physician on the same day as another procedure or service. Modifier 57 is used when there has been a decision for surgery. The decision has been made during an E&M service in the global period. For major surgeries, this would be 1 day before surgery. Minor surgeries, day of surgery. When the decision for surgery was made before the global period begins, this modifier cannot be used. Modifier 58 would be used for staged or related procedure or service by the same physician during the post-operative global period. Subsequent procedures commonly performed during the global period under one of these circumstances: planned or staged procedure anticipated prior to the first procedure, more extensive procedure needed than originally planned, or a therapeutic procedure performed following a diagnostic procedure. Modifier 76 would be used if the procedure was repeated or the service was repeated by the same physician. Modifier 77 is used for a repeat procedure or service by another physician. Modifiers 76 and 77 are used when the exact procedure was performed at the same anatomical site, not same procedure, different site. Modifier 78 is an unplanned return to the OR by the same physician or a related procedure during a global period. And modifier 79 would be used for an unrelated procedure or service by the same physician during the global period. Modifiers are used to indicate portions of a procedure. Different providers may perform various aspects of the total services described by a code. Modifier 26 is used for a professional component. In order to use this modifier, the physician must interpret the test and prepare a written report of this interpretation. Modifier TC is for the technical component. This is the portion of the procedure that requires the use of special equipment. No modifier is attached to the same if the same provider performs both the professional and the technical component. Surgical procedure components: preoperative, intraoperative, and postoperative. Modifier 54 would be used to identify the intraoperative component. Modifier 55 identifies the postoperative management component. And modifier 56 identifies the preoperative management component. These are only attached to codes that have 10-day or 90-day global periods. Multiple services on the same day. Modifier 50 would be used for bilateral services. These are identical procedures on both sides of the body during the same operative session. Modifier 51 is for multiple procedures, 2 or more procedures performed. Modifier 59 is distinct procedure, a procedure that is not usually reported separately from another procedure, but under certain circumstances may be reported separately. Modifier 91 is a repeat clinical diagnostic laboratory test when repeated on the same day for treatment purposes, not if the test is repeated due to problems with the first specimen or to confirm the results of the first test. Additional procedures involved: modifier 80, assistant surgeon. This is when another surgeon is used as an aid to a surgeon who provides services throughout the procedure. Modifier 81, minimal assistance surgeon. This is a surgeon who only helps during a portion of the procedure. Modifier 82 is for an assistant surgeon when a qualified resident is not available. Resident physician is a medical school graduate in training to be a specific medical specialist who may assist surgeons during a surgical procedure. Modifier 62, co-surgeon, two surgeons who operate together and perform distinct part of the procedure. And modifier 66, surgical team. This is a group of healthcare providers that perform a surgical procedure together. Procedures involving significantly more or less work than is typical. You would use modifier 22 for increased services, more work than typically necessary. There might have been complications. Modifier 47 is used for anesthesia performed by a surgeon. Modifier 63 is for a procedure performed on an infant that is less than 4 kilograms. Modifier 52 is for reduced services before the introduction of anesthesia. And modifier 53 is for discontinued procedures, and this would be after the introduction of anesthesia. Mandatory services, preventative services, physical status, and genetic test. For mandatory services and preventative services, you would use modifiers 32, which is mandatory services for government, third-party payer, or another entity with the authority to mandate physician to perform a particular service. Modifier 33 would be for preventative services. Primarily, the purpose of the service is to deliver recommended preventative services. You also have physical status modifiers, and these are P1 through P6. These are only used in the anesthesia section of CPT. P1 is for a normal, healthy patient. P2 is for a patient with a mild systemic disease. P3 for a patient with severe systemic disease. P4 would be used for severe systemic disease that is a constant threat to life. P5 would be used for a morbid patient who is not expected to survive without the operation. And P6 is a brain-dead patient whose organs are being removed for donor purposes. You also have genetic modifiers that identify general molecular diagnostic procedures and cytogenic studies. HCPCS also has modifiers. They have anatomical modifiers to indicate the specific anatomical structure. Ambulance trip would indicate or identify the location for which the ambulance was going or coming from. And equipment modifiers would be used for durable medical equipment. Again, for homework, read Chapter 7, complete your using terminology and checking your understanding at the end of the chapter.